Coming up on today's episode of the More Than Sunday podcast.
A sister who I thought was dead got a hold of me, and we met.
That's wild.
And how it shaped my opinion on nature versus nurture is I grew up in the home she would have grew up in. And I had siblings and stuff. So I had firsthand experience of what growing up in that environment, what it did, how it shaped people.
Welcome to the More Than Sunday podcast with lead pastor Scott Harris and your host Josh Rogers. Each episode, we aim to have honest conversations around daily living as a follower of Jesus outside of a church building. Thanks for joining us. Let's start the conversation.
Hey, welcome to More Than Sunday. This is episode 16, and it's hard to believe we're at 16. I feel like I say that every time, but it feels like we were just doing episode 3. But having a lot of fun, having some cool conversations, excited to see where the Lord continues to take this thing. And I think it's important that you know that right before we started this episode, we were doing a little bit of a fashion update. And so I feel like we have to come clean.
Yes.
Like we were talking about jean sizes again.
Yep, I'm a little
You're not
nervous.
talking about waist size. We're talking about the width of the jeans themselves.
Yeah, the legs. Yeah, I'm confused. So I'll just update where I'm at. You guys are tracking with me in the fashion thing because I know the skinny jean thing is kind of gone, but most of my clothes are that. I was all into that space. And so I see the legs widening. And I wasn't sure because I got a sale on boot cut.
Yeah.
And so I was just asking Josh, I said, you got to guide me here.
Are you a
Is
big
this the slow
boot guy?
progression? Am I a boot cut guy?
Are you a big boot guy? You got a lot of boots?
No.
Okay.
So that's what I was wondering, because back in my day, boot cut is what kind of the cowboys wore, right? To get around their boots, right?
Sure.
So I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out if that is the gradual increase of leg size. And so
they're out there. They're getting wide.
Well, yeah, and I'm terrified of that. That's a whole nother thing. Because I'm going to talking to our older folk here. What you got to do is you got to watch. You got to be careful that you don't jump too fast into the current trend because they flash quick. Some of them are aggressive, and you're going to get pictures of yourself that are embarrassing. So what you got to do is you got to wait a little bit as an old guy, and so you kind of watch them. So I know the skinny jeans are kind of going out. So folks, we all still got them for a bit. And the legs are widening. I just don't know how wide to go. And the boot cut, when I got it, is a really good deal on the jeans, but they're sitting at home. In fact, I about wore them to church on Sunday, and I thought, nope, can't do it because I don't know. So I'm trying to ask, do I gradually increase the width of my leg, and then hopefully the trend will fall into, where it's okay for me to wear. I'm not looking like I'm 15.
See, and I would say I don't think you can just take one piece because it's a baggier, wider cut style, and so I think if you just try to go wider jeans, it just looks like you have big pants on.
Oh, man.
It's a whole vibe. But an interesting thing about today, because fashion is cyclical, right?
Oh,
And so, but one of the interesting things about today is I feel like I see a lot of different people choosing different decades of fashion and just going all in.
Ooh.
So I wouldn't say it's even just one thing, like the 90s jean code jean. They're so wide that like your whole shoe is covered.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I think it's kind of up for grabs, which is an interesting place to be.
Because, fashion, trends, kind of, meander, and oftentimes something that was in fashion a while ago comes back in.
Of course.
So I wonder if the fashion advice, because I think I'm speaking for an entire generation here, right? And should we just go with our generation and wait and figure out before we pass on?
Well, if you wait
it'll
long enough, it'll come back.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it'll be there very long.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you'll see me next week in 501 jeans and concert T-shirts. That's what we all wore.
There you go.
And the mullet's coming back.
Yeah.
That's kind of back already, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Please do.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to dig into a little bit of this concept around nature versus nurture, and talk about family stories and what did Jesus have to say about our nature. But before we get, we haven't talked about this. I got to talk to you. We just finished week 2 of the NFL season.
Oh, yes.
And week 1, I was not feeling great about my Lions.
I know.
It was tough. It was tough out there.
It hurt my fantasy football team, so I felt your pain a little bit.
Yeah, it was tough out there. And then week 2.
Woo, hello. They helped me.
Week 2, they were right back.
Okay.
And our offensive coordinator, who was a star, probably the best one in the league for the last couple seasons, is now the head coach of the Bears. And that's who we put 52 points up on. So there's definitely a little revenge game
thing, okay.
Revenge game happening. And I must confess, I am not a Seahawk fan, so I have not been following. How's it going so far?
It was a good week.
Okay.
Week 1, we were right there, and you saw glimmers. And we just bad play toward the end of the game. Probably should have won it. This week, you saw those pieces come together. So I would say, as a Seahawk fan, love our defense. Back in the heyday of the Seahawks, right? The Legion of Boom and that stuff. And we all learned as Seahawk fans how important a great, hard-hitting, attacking defense is. Well, we saw glimmers of that. Loved our defensive line. I still don't even know all their names. I'm figuring out, right? And then Sam Darnold, our quarterback, showed some poise and actually scrambled a couple times, which blew my mind because he's not known for that, but in some important times. So I would say this, we look good. Cooper Kupp, who I don't know if you know this, Seahawks fans. I was talking to my father-in-law about the Seahawks. He loves them. And he didn't know Cooper Kupp grew up in, I believe, the Tri-Cities area, Sunnyside, I think.
Okay.
And then went to Eastern Washington University.
Cool.
Eagles, right? My university. And then, of course, the Rams and all this. So, us Washingtonians need to be huge Cooper Kupp fans. And he wasn't, didn't show up on the first week. This week he showed up. So I think we're feeling pretty good as Seahawk fans right now.
I like that. Can I say it's hard to take you as a strong Eastern Washington University fan because you're wearing a Northwest University t-shirt?
Well, there's my whole life's a story. Yes, I am. I'm going to repurpose this shirt.
Yeah, okay.
So when I bought it, my youngest daughter, we just registered her for classes and everything.
There you go.
And I made a promise to pay a lot of money for tuition, which is like, okay. So we said, okay, we got to get t-shirts. We bought this. Within 2 days, she decided to take a gap year, went to Australia for that gap year, met somebody, got married, never to come back. So this was going to be a Northwest University dad shirt.
Yeah, and in some ways it still is.
It has memory, so I'm repurposing it. This is a Corbin Phillips fan shirt now. Many of you probably don't know, but Corbin Phillips, who is on our staff, on our worship team, is a coach at Northwest.
He's also the producer of this podcast.
Yeah, he's listening right now.
There.
Right,
he's right behind the camera.
If you notice a lot of extra zoom ins on me, it's because Corbin knows I'm a fan. So
he's excited.
This is my Corbin Phillips fan club, and we're opening registration right now for that.
So why is this fan club for Corbin Phillips?
Well, because he's a coach at Northwest University, right?
He's the coach.
He's the coach. He's the real deal. So we know somebody, and so we're huge fans of Corbin, and so this is my Corbin Phillips fan club initial wear.
Yeah, if you need a graphic made or want to run fast or have a podcast, he's your guy.
Oh, no,
just talk to him.
I forgot about that. I got to rethink this.
Yeah,
he's into running. You can tell I'm not. Okay, all right.
He's
stay tuned.
Believe me, he's running enough that he's covering your running too.
Oh, okay, all right. Transfer is good. So I'll take credit for every mile he runs.
It's perfect.
I got it. Yeah, I'm in.
It's perfect.
I'm back in. I'm about to shut down the club real quick, but it's reopened.
I love it. We're into the fall a little bit.
Uh-huh.
What are you excited about that's coming up for our church family? Or for whatever you're doing?
Well,
What's something coming up you're looking forward to?
I love the fall.
Woo.
Yeah, I really do.
Yes.
I mean, I love the fall. Being playing football for a lot of years,
now.
and then coaching for a lot of years. I love the whole vibe of Friday Night Lights. That crisp October air, football. I love it. So I love this season. I love when the clouds roll in. It gets darker a little earlier. It just I'm really into being cozy and comfort.
You're getting poetic on me.
Oh, watch me, yeah. In fact, I just thought about this morning. I always go fashion. I may have a problem, but here's the deal. I absolutely love, and this is just, I can't say this strong enough, flannel. Here's why. It's kind of dressy and kind of not. It is absolutely right down my lane.
So
I love it.
In a Venn diagram of fashion,
Yep.
there's this place where we land together, and that is outerwear.
Oh, okay, nice.
I love outerwear.
Oh, okay, so yeah, okay.
A jacket, a flannel.
Big vest guy, everyone knows that.
See? The puffiness sizes, it's important.
We talked about that, yeah. So here we are in fashion. We got to start a fashion show. But I'm looking for that, and let's spiritualize it. Ready?
Yeah.
I am really excited about our Christmas series.
Yeah.
I think the Lord gave us something that is going to be just a great walk through the Christmas story. So I'm excited to dig deep in that. We're studying and that stuff. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also love the fall. You start hearing the all the time, and it's like the fireplace starts turning on, chili starts being made, the beanies are coming back.
Ooh, beanie, you're a beanie guy.
I know.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a whole, I got like a whole drawer full of them.
The beanie.
So yeah, somebody makes them for me, and it's pretty great. So,
Nice.
and the other thing is, I always feel like to me, it feels really similar. I don't know if this is because I'm a dad and I have kids in school, or if this is just part of it, but the fall feels similar to like a January to me, of like people getting back in rhythm, like a restart. And so there's good momentum, it feels to me like, in the fall. And one of the ways we see that is in church attendance.
Yep.
And that's a whole conversation, certainly. I think the Barna studies say like 1.3 times a month average is where people are attending, something like that. But it seems to be a regular thing in not just our church, but in churches across the country, that in the fall, attendance upticks a little bit. And certainly the goal is never get as many people in the building as you can, but at the same time, when your family comes back, it just feels good. Yeah. You get to see people and meet people and hear story. And even on Sunday, I was mentioning to you, I was like, dude, I think we need a few more chairs in here. Like, I think it was getting to where people are having a hard time finding a place to sit. And again, that feels motivating and inspiring to me, because I had great conversations after service with people I haven't met and people I haven't seen in a long time. So it's not that the room was really full, it's that there's more of my people there. Yeah. We get to do life together and talk. And so really love that. I would say something I'm really looking forward to that's coming up is a lot of people don't, I would guess probably nobody knows this because we just have done it once, but I really love it. Some of our team last year experimented with going on a bit of a creative retreat to kind of get away and look at sermon series stuff and planning. And it was just really fruitful, and I love it. We have another one coming up, and I'm really looking forward to what the Lord will do with that space. Excited about what he's doing in our community right now, and in our church family and in the school here. So yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, baseball season's happening for Judah, so we're games all the time.
Yeah. Well, and that's I'd said this recently, in our American rhythm of life, September really is the beginning of the year, far greater than what we experienced January 1. That's this calendar date and those things, but this whole idea of realignment, reconnecting, restarts, all these things happens September 1.
Yep.
I mean, that's why, again, it's a high time for our church, high time for students, and everybody is, heading into new, optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is. I love that. It's a great vibe in America. September and October is.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I got one more thing.
Yes.
I got to brag on them. So, I have the privilege of teaching one of the classes in our middle school. I don't remember if we've talked about that before or not, but the class is a worship leading class. And so we talk about, theology around worship and spiritual formation, what it means to grow as a son and daughter, but we also practice it. And then we lead worship in the chapels on Fridays. Yeah. And our class is so awesome. We have 15 students in there this year, and there's just such a collective tenderness to them and excitement to grow that, man, it shifted to I'm in there every day of my work week, and it's a highlight of my day, just getting with these students that are hungry to grow as worshipers and to understand and like how to love God more and what does that look like and to grow in their skill. It's inspiring, and it's cool to see, they're really leaders here in the middle school too. So it's just cool to see that generation start to get fired up about Jesus and how, not just being on stage, that's the littlest piece. We just talked about this with them, but like being a person who is a worshiper, how much of an adventure that is.
Yeah. And I love, we've talked about this, but I've, over the course of the last year, I've seen just incredible growth in those kids and students and what they're bringing on stage and stuff. So no, it's something to boast in the Lord about and be proud that God's using you in that way. It's pretty cool. I love watching it.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It really is cool. So let's jump into kind of our main topic for the day. And for those of our listeners that are following the Northshore sermon series, this is something you spoke last 2 weeks ago and mentioned this episode might be one where you would share a little bit of story around your family and this concept of like nature versus nurture. And certainly there's a lot of avenues that conversation goes down, but really talking about this, where we come from and how we got to where we are kind of process. So I'm kind of just open the floor for you to take that where you want to take it.
Yeah, and just as you introduced it, so I used as an opening to my sermon, the question, what shapes us? Is it more nature, genetics, or nurture, the environments and experiences we have? So, and then, we ultimately, through the message, talked about this idea that God one is to grow, right? He wants to shape and grow us, and he creates environments and experiences and calls people into our life for us to grow. So that was the whole message. But, what I used to say, my opinion has been shaped by kind of a just exceptional, spectacular moment in my life a couple years ago, and that was through 23andMe, I think it's called. It's a DNA testing, and many of us have heard about it. And what you do is I think it's $50. You do a mouth swab, I think, and you send it away. It comes back with this chart of your ethnic background, right, through genetic testing, and you're like a family tree, like close relation, people who are in their database that connect you. And I think it's worldwide. So what happens is that web of relationship is big, so you connect. So I was contacted, and I'll tell you the end of it, and we can talk about the details, is a sister who I thought was dead got a hold of me. And we met.
That's wild.
And how it shaped my opinion on nature versus nurture is I grew up in the home she would have grew up in. and I had siblings and stuff. So I had firsthand experience of what growing up in that environment, what it did, how it shaped people. She was the polar opposite. It's interesting. Looked just like my daughter, my mom, some of my features she had, but she's a bank executive, right? And that wasn't what my family produced from what we were in, and so what happens, you use this as an illustration in a sermon, and people get intrigued, and I really believe in vulnerability. And some people came up and talked to me. Interesting how many, similar stories, not exactly like mine, but that are like this in some sort of fashion that people connect with. So I felt, boy, the place where we just sit and talk, or a story can unfold with, would be this place. So that's why I threw it out that day.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I mean, I don't think we intend to make this a promo for 23andMe. But at the same time, I know another staff member has had some really cool family breakthrough of meeting birth parents through the same kind of exploration and same company. Did you, this might be my generation thing, I don't know. Did you feel at all weird about just sending your DNA off in the mail?
Well, I didn't send mine.
Okay.
So yes, I would feel weird. I have never done that.
Yeah.
Even though I'm going to have to, because I've got Native American blood in my heritage. And so I just found out the other day I've got to go and do DNA testing to confirm that for my tribe. So anyway, so that's going to be new. So prior to that, not interested. And some of it is because of this, my story prior to meeting my sister is I come from a very, very broken home. The parents that raised me, there are 5 marriages between them, kids in every one of those. So it's just this home of lots of kids. Some people say, how many brothers and sisters do you have? And I honestly answer this, I don't know. Because prior to meeting my sister I just told you about, I was made aware of a brother I didn't know I had. And then which led into the story about meeting my sister. But then since, someone showed up at the counter at the church here and said, I'm here to see Scott Harris. He's my brother. Never met the guy. Come to find out, he's my brother. He's just legit. He wasn't lying. We figured it out, and he's my brother. And so that is part of my story.
Sure.
So this idea of I didn't want to do it because I have really at this day I don't know how many, and and I am good right now, So I don't. Yeah, and when you come from the type of background I come from, there is a lot of broken stories out there. And I would say this, and I'll just, I don't know how much I need to filter this, but I'll just say it this way because it's understandable. Why wouldn't you? Because a lot of those people, I'm not saying the people I've recently met, so are dangerous.
Sure.
They're dangerous. And I've got kids to protect and stuff like that.
Sure.
And so you have to be real cautious.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Really thinking about then and, inviting listeners to kind of think back to, the how much did we were we born with the trajectory and the outcome prescribed, and how much were we shaped by the environments we grew up in? And I think it's a fascinating thing to think through of each of our stories and parents, but I mean, elementary schools that you go to and teams or clubs that you're a part of or whatever, and how those shape your worldview and how you view other people and yourself and life. I know for our family, we have some, just a couple generations back, some stickiness in where we all came from. And it's interesting how that kind of ripples down through the generations of even sort of a bit of a nomad mentality of like we're kind of out on our own, and it, I think in some excuse me, some places stems from this like lack of origin story, and lack of like roots beyond a certain generation. I think, you know, for anyone interested in this type of conversation, my mind goes to, as I started thinking about this, my mind goes to 2 Corinthians 5:17, where Paul talks about in Christ us becoming a new creation. And so, you know, as you kind of said earlier, everything is spiritual. It's always connected. In what ways, how do those two, like this reality of the things I grew up around and this sort of sin nature versus new creation, how does that all play together?
Yeah, it's huge. So here's how I would explain it. I'm going to introduce a word that some know, some won't. Sanctification. Okay, so in the sanctification, meaning the growing us, shaping us into who we were created to be. So we are created good, actually very good, right? Sin came in, interrupted that. In Genesis 3:15, God made a promise of Jesus would come in and right that. And so Jesus came to the cross, was resurrected, and made us new. So what happens in Christ, we have what we call initial sanctification. We are, we're set apart, we're made whole, and it's because of Him. We're the new creation that you just made.
Yep.
So we are restored, redeemed, are words that you may hear around the church world. But there's something else. There's something called ongoing sanctification. So we are now from this, you know, we are positioned, we are Christ, we are fully adopted.
Yeah.
But now we are growing. So in this space, in this time, Philippians says that He started a good work in us and He's going to complete it when He returns. So in a sense, we're going to continue to grow. The word that comes in is, you know, holiness, right? Set apart. So this ongoing sanctification is this growing process for us. And I'll end this piece and come back to that, okay? And then there's the complete sanctification is when Christ comes back, we meet Him again in heaven in eternity. We're complete. So come back to this thing of nature versus nurture. God created us good. He's redeemed us. In Christ, we are good, right? We are with Him. We're adopted, fully redeemed. But we are growing in this ongoing sanctification. And so in that, what we see in Scriptures is we have a responsibility to respond to Him. And then what He says is He puts people in our lives, right? And so those, I use the word cultures, but those experiences, those atmospheres, those environments are intended to cultivate in us spiritual growth, to mature, to grow in sanctification, right? So what happens is the answer scripturally is it's both, but we, and generally, what I was talking about is the ongoing sanctification thing.
Yeah.
And there's, we know as humans, we are heavily influenced by the world around us. Scripture says it says, bad company corrupts good character, right? That's a nurture statement.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we all understand that our environment matters. And in my story with this, I saw it. It's like, whoa. Because the head count for brothers and sisters, it's probably more now. I think it's somewhere at 14 or 15, right? That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So that I've come through this parent group, right? And this sister, Teresa, I won't say her last name, Teresa, and in that pack that I grew up, I was the youngest. Eventually a younger sister came that I kind of turned around and nurtured. So she didn't completely go the course that everybody else did. And then I learned about Teresa, who's younger than me. So there's two younger than me.
Yeah.
So my point being in this is I watched all those brothers and sisters, and of that number in that home, I was the first one. So we're talking 10, 11, 12 kids that made it out of middle school into high school.
Yeah.
First one. I mean, I didn't say dropped out of high school. I said middle school.
Wow.
Right? And so, I'll just be unfiltered. Unfortunately, I walked in every one of my sisters being molested. That's part of my reality. I hate it, but it's there. Right? It's a lot.
That is a lot.
Right? And I watched most of my sisters enter into what they came out of in our home, into physically abusive relationships. I mean, very violent, right? Drug abuse, prison, things like this. So Teresa, I got to look at her and said, I want to thank your adopted parents. I know what God used them to rescue you from. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's when I said my opinion grew, because I watched a lot of kids come through that environment. And I just explained to you, and I could keep going and going, of trauma and all these things, and the byproduct of it, it's just ugly and not good. And it becomes generational. To hear this is a bank executive, poised, highly educated, very emotionally intelligent, and then I see that not being the case on the other side. So it's just really cool. So nurture plays a huge role into it, and I think Scripture, like I told you, it really has it holds a defense of both.
Sure.
Right.
Well, so follow-up question. You went through the same environment.
I did.
And you, at minimum, carried the burden of what you saw, and saw your siblings experience. What do you attribute your health to?
Yeah, two things. There was a time when I was first grade. At that time, I think we had 8 kids living in the house. CPS came and took every kid but me. So there must have been and I was the youngest at this time. And I think that there was a time that they maybe tried to keep younger kids or something. CPS would come visit every week, and I remember, they'd do studies and work with me and stuff. So they still attended to me.
Yeah.
But everyone else got taken away. And then they returned. And they returned 2 sets of them. It went to these 2 different homes that were Christians that attended a Christian school in the area. And so through now this, I guess it'd be foster parents, right? Convinced that Christian school to come to our home. And I remember they came and interviewed us, and that school offered free tuition to 6 of us.
Wow.
Okay. Poor Christian school. I laugh because we were like feral kids, right? Ain't no one behaving. We're nuts. So that poor school, they can only put up with us for 2 years, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
And that was back when corporal punishment was in there. So I got my behind whipped like crazy because I was just out of control. We were all out of control. That poor school. Love them. So I don't blame them at all. Like I said, I'm not, scarred spiritually for it. But in there, I heard about a Heavenly Father that loved me, right? Who sent His Son for me and cared for me unconditionally. And I didn't know what a father was. And I said, I want that. So I remember I put my little flag to have a teacher's assistant came, and this little old lady named Louise came over, who I remembered her from earlier childhood, because what she would do is she lived in the same neighborhood I lived in, kind of a trailer court, and my home was really, really violent. And what Louise would do is she would invite all the kids to her house and her garden, and she'd give us snacks and stuff. And ultimately she would take some kids to church, a lot of them, neighborhood kids, and they're all just poor, and just that thing. And anyway, so I remember Louise. I never went to church with her at that point, but I knew that she did that, and she was sweet. So anyway, she was there, came over, and I said, I want Jesus.
Yeah.
So she prayed with me. So there's a cool story about that later too. But so I say this. So that's one aspect is, because then they kicked us out at the end of the year. The school did, and they said, I don't blame them. They needed to. We're tearing the school down, but God was faithful to that.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to be. I grew up in the environment, so I moved right back into that. I think He was faithful to that prayer, and He saved me. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it, I believe, is the idea is there was so much pain around me, and I do think it's the Spirit of God in me. I knew there was something better than what I was experiencing. And so without being able to put the words to it, He started creating in my heart being a cycle breaker. And I knew I had to make choices that weren't being made around me or even for me.
Yeah.
And I could tell you story after story of moments I had to make decisions to not do things, to stay somewhere, to not be influenced, all that, just, massive amounts of, or young and all through my teens and all these things of knowing that I was going somewhere different. And Sandy will tease you about this, and it's embarrassing to tell you, but I didn't know how to say it. And we started dating in middle school, so I said, Sandy, I don't know what it is, but I feel chosen. There's something I feel chosen. I don't know what that is. And I know what it is now. It's Jesus. And He had me, and the Spirit had me. And I know He had a hope and a future for me and stuff, but I couldn't put it in Christianese. I didn't have a Bible verse.
Sure, yeah.
I just felt that experience,
Yeah.
and he helped me be a cycle breaker. And, and there's a lot of messages I'd have for people, but if you can hear anything else, Christ and be a cycle breaker. Right?
Yeah.
So you got to do that. And I don't care if you're, how old was I, 7 or 8?
Sure.
Right? Or if you're 80,
Yeah.
be a cycle breaker. It's about Christ.
Yeah.
I know this part, so I got to finish the story. I got to tell you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here's what's cool. So 24 years old, and many of you heard the story, Promise Keepers. I come back, and when I responded to the gospel, and I say, I know that's when my Christian service life started. I think I was a Christian before that because of he was honoring His covenant.
Yeah.
I didn't know how. So I just went, in fact, I actually said this. It says, I don't know what this means, but here I am. Use me. That was my words.
Yeah.
Right? At 24 years old, on my knees at a Promise Keepers event. Anyhow, so I come back home, and, just this crazy change, and talking to Sandy, I said, there's this lady, her name is Louise. That was the old lady that came, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I want to thank her. I remember, and this is it. I know what I meant. That chosen thing is, I'm special because God loved me. I don't think I'm chosen single.
Yeah.
God loves me. I think you're chosen. I mean, these things like this, He did that. So I got it, and I knew that it protected me, it saved me, and now my wife's a Christian, and my kids are Christians, and we're walking this journey. So I want to thank her. So we were finishing up our studies at Eastern Washington University during this whole time, and so we moved back to our hometown. And now we're churchgoers.
Yeah.
And we're all in. We're churchgoers, man. We're just crazy. We love Jesus.
Yeah.
We serve like crazy. So we say, okay, we're going to go to this church, right? Because I didn't go to church when I was there before. In fact, that church didn't even exist back when I grew up in that town, Colville. So we arrived the very first Sunday. Sandy and I are walking in, and this is a church that it had stained glass on its front door, so you couldn't see through it.
Okay.
So you didn't know what was on the other side of the door. So we're walking there. I open the door, and I'm not joking you, and you guys know where this is going. There's Louise right there, standing right there, right? And so I break off from Sandy, who, if you know anything about Sandy, she always, because I love people and I run around every place we go, don't leave me. And I always run off and go meet people and stuff, right? So that's our world. Yeah. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. She's an introvert, and I terrify her in new places. So what do? I leave her. I run into Louise, right? It's about 4 steps away. And I talk fast anyway. I just think I'm talking over myself of thanking her. I said, I've been waiting to thank you and stuff.
Wow.
And I love it. She says this. And Sandy's like, who's this? I said, Sandy, this is Louise. She goes, oh. Yeah. And Louise says this to me. She's a really old lady at this time. She goes, and her memory didn't fade her. She goes, I'm sorry, I don't remember that moment. And I said, doesn't matter. I do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you the legacy. And here's what's cool. That was the church that asked me to be their youth pastor eventually. Wow. So not only did she become to that church, a couple of years later, I become the youth pastor on ministry there. So anyhow, so right back to it. Christ. Yeah. And be a cycle breaker. Why did it turn out different for me? Those factors. Mm-hmm. And then God brought a lot of people in my life, that are little spots of encouragement and stuff. Yeah.
Dude, thanks for being vulnerable and sharing. And I think what stands out to me is, I think of your story as a first grader and Louise's story and the fact that she didn't remember, which I think is kind of beautiful because I think that feels really normal. Like it feels like she was just trying to love people well. Yeah. And so, I think that's a great encouragement for all of us of you never know what little moment in a day is going to have eternal impact.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Like she didn't lead Promise Keepers, no, right? Like it wasn't this huge, she was just trying to love you. Yeah. And that's something that changed your history, your future, right? Yeah. And I just think that's cool. I think as we think about our days, this whole thing is called More Than Sunday. Mm. And I think, we have a lot of time not on Sunday morning that we're doing ordinary stuff that the Lord wants to change eternities with. And so I just, for our listeners too, let's be encouraged. He is at work in little things that we'll never know the full extent of. Yep. But then the flip side of that is thinking back through our stories, the older I get, the more people I talk to, everybody's got stuff. Yeah. Every story has some kind of trauma. And so I want to be careful how I say this because I'm not saying like, you're going to discover all the answers for everything. But I wonder if a cool question could be, Father, where were you at in my story that I haven't seen you yet? Or where were you at work that I don't know about? Yeah. Because he's been at work the whole time. Yep. And I think when we learn to see where he has been, it can give us eyes for where he's continuing to work today. Yeah. And so it partners with that other thought of how do we kind of in the ordinary partner with him in what we're doing. But man, thanks for modeling that type of conversation for us and just sharing your story. And I hope that, part of the reason why we do this podcast is we hope that this is in some way an inspiration for other conversations to happen, in living rooms and chairs with coffee or whatever it is, to push into relationship with people, with family, with brothers and sisters, with people you disagree with all of the above, as we continue to learn to do relationship well. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, if you have questions or comments or things you want us to talk about, you can email us at morethansunday@northshorechristian.org, and we'll see that. Stay tuned in. More episodes coming, and have a great week.
All right. See you. Appreciate you.